I have yet to see a single example of Angel Reese being a leader outside of rebounding her own missed layups. What does Angel Reese do? What is her contribution? You tell me, because I'm not seeing it. I know I'm harsh on Angel Reese, but she considers herself a star. If you're going to call yourself a star, I expect you to perform like a star, especially in big moments. Caitlin Clark was injured. Angel Reese was the only star on the court last night, and for 27 minutes, she completely disappeared.
Angel Reese just experienced one of the toughest games of her career, and it happened on the biggest stage in basketball. In front of a sold-out crowd at the United Center, the largest arena in the NBA, and with millions watching on primetime television, Reese struggled badly. She finished the night with just 4 points, hitting only 2 of her 7 shots, while her Chicago Sky team was completely outclassed in a 27-point blowout loss to the Indiana Fever. But here's what makes this even more painful. The Fever pulled off this dominant win without Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, or even their head coach on the sidelines. And the moment that truly sealed Reese's rough night? We'll break that down in this video, especially as Caitlin Clark's actions on live TV are now being seen as a moment that firmly put Reese in her place. If you're ready to see how Caitlin delivered this humbling moment, drop a "Fire the Baby Giraffe" in the comments below. Let's get into it.
Oh, there's a lot of reaction coming in from last night's drubbing, destruction, annihilation, cremation, whatever you want to call it, roasting, sauteed, whatever your form of cooking may be. But the Indiana Fever absolutely dismantled the Chicago Sky.
You can tell a player isn't exactly a major draw when ticket prices drop to the cost of a candy bar from a gas station. This game at the United Center was supposed to be Angel Reese's chance to prove she could fill seats and pull in viewers without needing Caitlin Clark as the headline act. All season, the Chicago Sky had been pushing the idea that Reese was just as much of a star attraction as Clark, that fans were coming out specifically to watch her play.
Angel Reese is now quoted as saying, "I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we're watching women's basketball is not just because of one person." She refuses to say Caitlin Clark's name. "It's because of me too, and I want you to realize that."
But then reality hit hard. As soon as news broke that Caitlin Clark would miss the game due to a quad injury, ticket prices plummeted. What had been premium price seats suddenly dropped to just $3. To put that in perspective, you can't even get a decent cup of coffee for that price. But that's all people were willing to pay to see Angel Reese play at the United Center. This wasn't just a minor price adjustment. These were tickets that originally sold at high demand for what was supposed to be a headline matchup between 2 of the WNBA's biggest emerging names. The moment Clark's absence was confirmed, the bottom completely fell out of the resale market. Scalpers couldn't even unload the tickets at bargain prices, and fans who had been looking forward to the game quickly lost interest. It became painfully clear. There's only one true star driving the league's attention right now.
Last night was somewhat of a big moment for Angel Reese and the Chicago Bravado. For starters, the WNBA moved the game out of the local dump the Bravado usually play in and relocated to the United Center, which is the largest arena in the NBA, holding over 20,000 people. Now, to their credit, there seemed to be a good crowd in the United Center last night. I had someone who was at the game send me a few pictures, and most sections seemed to be filled. It wasn't a sellout, but there was supposedly over 19,000 people in attendance. Of course, it's easier to draw a decent crowd when tickets are selling for $3 hours before the game starts.
Social media quickly captured the mood. Fans were sharing screenshots of the $3 ticket prices, laughing and posting memes about how they could now bring their entire families to a Chicago Sky game for less than what they'd pay just to park. The buzz that had been building around this highly anticipated United Center matchup completely collapsed, faster than a deflated basketball. Let's be honest, this was supposed to be Chicago's time to shine. The Sky had spent the season promoting the idea that Angel Reese was a star in her own right, that she had her own following, that people specifically tuned in to see her play. But when it came down to it, with Caitlin Clark out of the picture, the message from fans couldn't have been clearer. The excitement wasn't about Reese. The market showed, without question, who people were really paying to see.
Oof.
What an outfit Angel Reese was rocking. She put a lot of time, a lot of effort into making sure her ensemble was on point. Are my boots matching my jacket? Are my gloves matching my hat? Angel Reese put in tons of time for this outfit, which begs the question, does Angel Reese put in more time in her outfits for the pre-game catwalk, or does she put in more time to actually get better at the game of basketball?
When you compare this to previous games featuring Caitlin Clark, the difference is impossible to ignore. Her presence consistently sparked huge ticket sales and packed arenas, with sellout crowds becoming the norm. Fans would arrive hours early, just for the chance to watch Clark's warm-ups. The contrast between those electric atmospheres and the empty seats at this game couldn't have been more striking.
Folks, there were people in the crowd getting there early saying, "Hey Caitlin, can you sign my jersey? Hey Aaliyah, can you sign my shirt? Hey Sophie, can you sign my picture?" There were people asking for autographs in the Chicago Sky crowd that weren't even born yet the last time the Chicago Sky scored this little amount of points. There were people in the crowd who weren't even a thought in their parents' minds at the time that the Chicago Sky last scored at least 52 points, the lowest point total since 2011.
Even the Chicago Sky's own fan base seemed noticeably less excited once the Caitlin Clark matchup was off the table. What was supposed to feel like a high-energy showdown quickly turned into something that felt more like a routine obligation. Fans who had been organizing watch parties suddenly found other ways to spend their Friday night. The ticket price collapse was just the start of what would become Angel Reese's worst-case scenario on one of the sport's biggest stages. Those $3 tickets weren't just a fluke. They turned out to be a perfect preview of the underwhelming performance that was about to unfold from Chicago's so-called star.
Angel Reese, part 38, let's give it! Life throws her lemons, she makes bricks. Bang! PSA to anyone watching, she is right-handed. Right-handed, by the way. She missed the rim by 3 feet, man. Bang! I gotta say, this is my favorite summer sitcom. Pecan? Butter pecan? Bang! Here's a stat. She's been blocked 20 times, and she's only made 21 hoops. What?
Scoring just 4 points on 2 of 7 shooting in 27 minutes of play, and doing it on primetime national television, is how you watch your reputation crumble in front of a live audience. This wasn't just any game. It was the United Center's first ever WNBA event, and CBS had cleared their primetime lineup to broadcast it, with no major competition from other sports on TV. A sold-out crowd had filled the largest arena in the NBA, expecting a show. What they got instead was what many analysts later described as a complete disaster. A total meltdown by Angel Reese on one of the biggest stages the sport could offer.
As a matter of fact, this might have been the first WNBA game broadcast on CBS in prime time. If it's not the first, it's one of very few. This was a big moment. I'm sure the WNBA would call it historic. Angel Reese is playing in an NBA arena in prime time on network television on Saturday night. Outside of regular season baseball, maybe the College World Series, there was no competition on television. The eyes of the sports world were focused on Angel Reese and the WNBA. And Angel Reese once again proved why no one is watching her.
Let's take a closer look at just how rough this performance really was. Reese finished with only 4 points, missing 5 of her 7 shot attempts, including 2 awkward missed layups that left the crowd audibly groaning. One of those layups didn't even make it past the defender, getting cleanly blocked as the cameras zoomed in on her growing frustration while the game continued to spiral out of control. For someone who's been promoted as Chicago's rising star and a supposed major box office draw, this stat line was absolutely brutal.
Caitlin Clark is averaging more assists per game than Angel Reese is averaging points per game this season. Yeah. 9.3 points per assists per game. 9.3 assists per game. Let me just bring it up. To 9.1 points per game.
What made it even harder to watch was how out of sync Reese appeared throughout the game. She looked unsure of herself, made questionable decisions, and seemed completely overwhelmed by Indiana's defensive intensity. The pressure clearly rattled her, and the broadcast caught every frustrated head shake and visible sign of disappointment as her shots repeatedly bounced off the rim.
Another diabolical stat. She's 19 of 59 from less than 5 feet away. How about that, man? Bang! She should work at housekeeping for hotels because she could turn it over quickly. Lost by 27, scored only 4 points against the Indiana Fever. I mentioned no Caitlin Clark, no problem, give and go. Like a given no shot of working. Bang!
You prefer car or plane?
Car plane for what? For how you want to travel! That's too many steps and you can't do that.
This wasn't just about missing a couple of difficult shots. It was the kind of performance where Reese looked completely out of place, as if she didn't belong on the same floor as seasoned professional athletes. The reaction from the crowd said it all. What started as excitement from fans who had paid to see this highly anticipated matchup quickly faded into growing frustration as Reese continued to struggle. The energy inside the arena shifted. By the fourth quarter, some fans had already started heading for the exits. Despite the fact that this was a historic WNBA game at the United Center, what made the situation even more uncomfortable was the lead-up to the game. In the days prior, Reese had been active on social media, sharing highlights of her celebrity lifestyle and confidently maintaining her larger-than-life persona. But when the spotlight was at its brightest and the pressure was at its highest, she completely crumbled.
Oof. What an outfit Angel Reese was rocking. She put a lot of time, a lot of effort into making sure her ensemble was on point. Are my boots matching my jacket? Are my gloves matching my hat? Angel Reese put in tons of time for this outfit, which begs the question, does Angel Reese put in more time in her outfits for the pre-game catwalk, or does she put in more time to actually get better at the game of basketball?
While the Chicago Sky's offensive struggles went beyond just Reese, her performance stood out as especially hard to watch. No player on the Sky managed to score in double figures, and the team as a whole put up just 52 points, their lowest scoring output since 2011. Even with the entire team falling short, Reese's struggles were the most noticeable and disappointing. One analyst didn't mince words, saying that Angel Reese once again proved she's not even close to Caitlin Clark's level. This wasn't just a rough night, it was a total collapse on one of the biggest stages women's basketball has to offer. And the Indiana Fever capitalized on the Sky's meltdown, all without their biggest star even stepping on the floor.
Unfortunately, Angel Reese brought her outfit and left her game at home. She brought the nice hat, she brought the nice boots, she brought the nice jacket, she brought the nice gloves, but unfortunately, she left her game at home. 4 points, 12 rebounds, 2 assists in 27 minutes of action, a minus 23 turnovers as the Chicago Sky, without Caitlin Clark, without Sophie Cunningham, without Stephanie White.
This wasn't Angel Reese's first tough moment against the Fever. In fact, it's starting to look like a concerning pattern that's been unfolding for months. Let's rewind to May 17th, when the Indiana Fever completely dominated the Chicago Sky with a crushing 93-58 win at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. That 35-point blowout wasn't just a rough night, it marked the start of what has become Angel Reese's ongoing struggle whenever she faces Indiana. It's turning into a recurring nightmare she just can't seem to shake.
Angel Reese gets up, Aaliyah Boston shoves her, gives her a little stiffy. Hey, don't come at Caitlin. But look at her, Angel Reese upset. Oh my gosh. Hey man, this was hilarious. Look, Angel Reese was pissed. Look at her, she was still going out there a little bit. Look, took the jersey out. What's going on? Look.
Back in that May matchup, Reese attempted to get physical with Caitlin Clark, trying to rattle her and disrupt her rhythm. You could see Reese pushing the contact, getting more aggressive as the game went on in an effort to assert some kind of control over Clark. But those tactics completely backfired. Instead of shaking the Fever, Indiana rolled to one of the most dominant wins in WNBA history. What's especially damaging for Reese's reputation is that this wasn't just a one-off bad night. That May game was just the beginning of what has now clearly become a one-sided rivalry. The Fever are now 2-0 against the Sky this season, and both games have been absolute blowouts. The constant in both of these defeats? Angel Reese's struggles. She's been at the center of each of these disappointing performances.
I thought Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark were cool. But I don't know, man. The way Angel got up, she was like, Look at her. Ooh. I mean, she was getting after it, fam. Oh my goodness. Now, the funny thing was Caitlin Clark sniffing, walking away. Hold on, let me see if I can get a good angle. Yeah, look. watch Caitlin Clark's face right here. Watch this.
The reaction from fans says it all. Social media has been flooded with side-by-side comparisons of both matchups, with many pointing out how consistently Reese has struggled against Indiana. Some comments question whether she can handle high-pressure situations, while others openly mock her repeated attempts to challenge Clark in the Fever first, a 35-point blowout in May. Then, a 27-point loss on one of the biggest stages at the United Center. The pattern is undeniable. Every time Reese faces Indiana, her confidence seems to unravel. Her physical style doesn't have the intended impact, her shooting collapses, and she looks completely out of sync. So, how exactly did Caitlin Clark put Reese in her place on live television? Let's take a closer look.
Is winding down. You got to close out with the hand up. Her hands were down and Howard knocked it down, and that is a travel.
Reese drags the pivot foot, gives the ball back to Indiana. 8 to shoot. Boston this time working against Reese. Pivots, puts it up.
There's a moment.
What we're seeing isn't just a couple of off nights. It's the complete unraveling of Angel Reese's confidence and reputation when she faces Indiana. The Fever have clearly gotten so deep into her head that she struggles to even perform when they are on the other side of the floor. This pattern says a lot, not just about Reese, but about how this rivalry is shaping both players' legacies moving forward. What makes this most recent blowout even more painful is the fact that Indiana didn't have Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, or even their head coach on the sidelines. Think about that. The Fever were missing 3 of their most important pieces and still handed Chicago a 27-point defeat. The Sky looked completely overmatched, almost as if a high school team had been thrown into a game against seasoned pros.
No Caitlin Clark, no problem. No Sophie Cunningham, no problem. No head coach Stephanie White, have no fear. The final boss, Austin Kelly, is here. The Chicago Sky, we came into your building and we just, from pillar to post, smacked you guys around.
Kelsey Mitchell rose to the occasion in a big way, leading the Fever with 17 points while shooting an efficient 5 for 11 from the field. She also chipped in 5 rebounds and 2 assists, putting together a well-rounded performance. Mitchell once again proved why she's such a vital veteran presence for this Indiana squad. She took command of the offense and made sure Chicago never found a rhythm. From the very first possession, her leadership and control over the game were impossible to miss.
This time steps right through the heart of the defense and blows by Chicago. The winds off of Lake Michigan. Loses Atkins, step back mini, knocks it down. Oh, the connection to Howard. How about the finish from Mitchell?
And she may be the quickest guard in the league with the ball in her hands.
But what really stood out was Ari McDonald's breakout performance off the bench. She came in and lit up the Sky with 12 points, knocking down 3 shots from beyond the arc and racking up 4 steals. McDonald, who joined the Fever on a hardship contract, wasted no time making Chicago pay for every mistake. She ran the offense with the poise and confidence of someone who had been with the team all season, displaying the kind of sharp basketball instincts that clearly set true professionals apart from the rest.
But both teams facing a little bit of adversity, having certain players out or not at full capacity.
McDonald, a huge triple in the corner. Mitchell, patient in the corner, flips it up top. Boston, other side. McDonald, another 3. I'm loving it.
The Fever's ball movement told the entire story of their superior fundamentals. They finished the game with 20 assists on 27 made shots, a clear sign of their unselfish, team-first approach, something Chicago simply couldn't keep up with. Indiana's offense flowed smoothly and with purpose on nearly every possession, while the Sky looked disorganized and scattered on the other end of the court. Acting head coach Austin Kelly deserves a lot of credit for keeping the Fever locked in and perfectly executing their game plan, despite stepping in for Stephanie White. Under Kelly's leadership, Indiana didn't miss a step, showing just how deep and professional the entire organization truly is. After the game, Kelly emphasized how crucial defense was to their success, saying, "Our best defense is when our offense is clicking."
Yes, sir.
Great job. All right, great job.
Thanks, Daddy.
It started for us on the defensive end. We set the tone from the jump and never looked back. All right. Their starters, 8 for 29 from the field.
Hell yeah.
Hell of a job. Great attention to detail. That's less than 30%. We held them 32% for the game.
Natasha Howard chipped in with an efficient 13-point performance, while Aliyah Boston delivered a well-rounded game with 11 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists. Even Lexi Hull hit a personal milestone during the rout, surpassing 500 career points. Indiana's balanced scoring and meaningful contributions from every player on the floor showcase just how deep and versatile this Fever roster really is. On the defensive end, Indiana completely smothered Chicago, holding them to just 52 points. Their disciplined rotations and relentless pressure forced turnovers, challenged nearly every shot, and made the sky battle for every single basket they managed to put on the board.
All right, great job there. All right, we won the boards. All right, and they're a second chance points team. All right, we won that area as well. Taking away their strengths was something that we did a great job of. All right,
just extremely proud of y'all. We stayed locked in. We stayed together. We executed the scout at a very high level. Just multiple levels of effort. Everything that we've asked of you today, we put it in there. And from now, again, stacking days, building on those moments where we're stringing those possessions together, right? Building on those great possessions on defense and on offense. Great, hell of a job, y'all. High level.
This victory proved that the Indiana Fever are far more than just the Caitlin Clark show. They've emerged as a legitimate championship threat, whether or not their biggest star is on the floor. The depth, coaching, and winning mindset they displayed in this dominant performance at the United Center sent a clear message to the rest of the league. Indiana is here to compete for a title. This game also solidified the growing narrative. The Fever are on the rise, while the Chicago sky seemed to be falling apart. Angel Reese's 4-point showing on national television made it crystal clear where this rivalry stands, completely tilted in Indiana's favor. The Fever's impressive roster depth and ability to win without key players firmly position them as serious contenders heading into 2025. Caitlin Clark is expected to be re-evaluated on June 9th and could potentially return as soon as Tuesday's matchup against the Atlanta Dream. Just imagine what this already dominant Indiana team will look like once Clark is back in the lineup. A team that just proved they don't even need her to dismantle their biggest rivals by 27 points. If you're ready to catch the next big moment, or maybe Reese's next misstep, drop Fire the Baby Giraffe in the comments, hit like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss an update. Click the video on your screen now, and we'll see you in the next one.